Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Bruce Wolf and Sean Thompson in for Dan and Amy. And, Sean, I am very nervous right now.
Why?
Because we got Stephen Moore on the line. Good morning, Stephen.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you. And, Stephen, you might not remember this, but, I used to do the show with Dan on WLS, and we'd interview you a number of times, like every week, and I've interviewed you.
I remember. Those are the good old days.
Those are the good old days, and, on the Big 89. And then, I've interviewed you when I've subbed on this show. But, Stephen, I'm a humble, taxpayer, or I used to be a taxpayer when I had a job.
Yeah.
But
Wait a minute. I've known you a long time. I wouldn't use the word humble to describe you.
Or taxpayer.
But here's the thing, Stephen. Nobody I know should be anywhere near the Fed. That's for people who are are transcendent, are way beyond me. Nobody that I've talked to, even on a semi-regular basis. I think you're disqualified because you've talked to me, Stephen. I mean, how are you? But the serious question is, there's been a lot of criticism that you're not qualified to be on the Fed.
Right.
How do you rebut that?
Well, the New York Times today or yesterday called me exceptionally unqualified, and I'm going to take that as a compliment. These are the people who said Trump was going to cause the second Great Depression, and these are the people who said that if Trump was elected, that we're going to get a stock market crash and so on. Look, I am an iconoclast when it comes to economics. I challenge a lot of the economic orthodoxies, and I've done it throughout my career, and I think I've been right a lot more than I've been wrong. I'm not always right, but I'm mostly right. And so, I am a threat to the establishment. There's no question about it. They're terrified of having someone like me on the Fed who believes that growth.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I believe that growth does not cause inflation. I mean, wow, what a concept. But, most economists do believe, especially a lot of them at the Fed, believe that growth causes inflation. I believe that we can grow this economy at 3 to 4% in real terms, that there's no, remember this idea of secular stagnation, that somehow the economy can only grow at 2% and that's the cap and we shouldn't even, try for higher. That's ridiculous. I believe with technology and growth and tax cuts and deregulation, we can grow the economy much faster. So I'm a growth hawk, and I'm not going to apologize for that. And, just check the sources, folks, of the people who are criticizing me. They're all the left-wingers who said this stuff would never work in the first place. These are the people who opposed the tax cut.
So, Stephen, I bought all your books, so I'm going to criticize you from the other side. I am a big fan of yours. I was looking so forward and have been, and I'm looking forward to the day I meet in person with you. In fact, one of my favorite books is Moore versus Krugman. You remember that book?
Which book?
Moore versus Krugman. Remember?
Yeah, well, that's like, Krugman's written probably 5 pieces in the last few months, attacking me. He's like a stalker when it comes to me, and he's never forgiven me. For people, if they want to have fun, either read that little Moore versus Krugman, or you can watch it on YouTube, the debate. And they had to peel him off the stage after that debate was over because I just thrashed him. And he's never forgiven me. And so ever since then, he takes every shot he can. But, people should look at Paul Krugman's, that's my point, is the people who are attacking me are the people who have been consistently wrong for
but
years.
So are the people you are agreeing with. And here's what I mean by that. Less than a week ago, Donald Trump said that he wants more quantitative easing and more manipulated low interest rates. Now, I know you, and I've listened to you argue against those very points. And you are a growth hawk, but you were never a Keynesian growth hawk. You never would have supported, but you're supporting the infrastructure.
This is where I think Trump is sort of partially right, but maybe for the wrong reasons. So, Trump is a real estate guy. He just likes low interest rates, right? Because that's what, liberals, people in the housing industry think, that, low interest rates run the world. My point is that the economy can grow, at a faster pace, and that we can do it without inflation. And my point is, if you look over the last, 6 months, commodity prices have been falling. We're way below the inflation target. I think the Fed is a little bit too tight right now. I might suggest a maybe 1/4 basis point reduction in interest rates, but we will see.
But manipulating growth through barriers of free trade by implementing a tariff policy, which is a backdoor tax that you know about, and it fakes the success of the American company, is a ruse.
Well, here's an example of it. This is the other joke is that, left say, oh, he's just an apologist for, Donald Trump. He's a sycophant for Trump. What are they talking about? If these people ever listen to what I say or read my book, I mean, I love what Trump has done for the economy. It's a great economy. We had 200,000 more jobs added last month.
The job pool shrunk, though, but it's shrunk.
When it comes to trade, I'm a free trade guy. Although, guys, and this is where I've disagreed a little bit with Dan over the last, year or so. Sure. I think Trump is right to go after China. I think China is a villain. I think they are an adversary. I don't think they play by the rules. I think we have got to stand up to China. If it takes tariffs to get them to behave themselves, I don't like tariffs, but if this is the only way we can get them to stop stealing and cheating, maybe we need to do it.
Well, that's a political solution to an economic problem, and I know that they mix. And
by the way, I do not support Trump's steel tariffs. I think the steel tariffs are ill-advised, and I don't like the.
How about the trillion-dollar infrastructure?
Auto tariffs. I don't want to pay $3,000 more for a car. I don't know about you, Amy.
Or I'm Sean, but
whatever.
How about a union-made car on top of it? See, this is the problem with his policies are bolstering failure. Whether it's the union-made vehicle, whether it's the American bastardized steel industry, or whether it's my choice of consumption, you're taxing me for freedom that you don't have the right to. We have a Congress that is supposed to do that, number one. So you're not arguing with Dan or me. You're arguing with yourself from 10 years ago. That's what I find troubling.
Well, I believe that what do you do when you get a country that cheats and steals? They're stealing $300 to $400 billion a year of our technology. Can you have? My question is, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think you can have free trade with a country that is cheating and stealing from you. I mean, and then that imposes tariffs that are 3 times higher than ours.
Well, there's no such thing as free trade.
To quote Milton Friedman, what does another country's policies have to do with my value?
Well, but we remember favored nation status, and the Chinese, they have a new name for it now, but the Chinese cheat, and what are the remedies? So Stephen mentions one of these. I'm not so sure the tariffs work, and I'm not so sure Stephen believes that either. But what about the argument that you don't have the so-called intellectual heft? You've said that you will face a steep learning curve as to how the Fed operates.
Well, look, first of all, I will have, when I get over to the Fed, I will have to learn how it operates, because it's, by the way, one of the things I'm very much for, which is driving the liberals and the establishment crazy, is I am a big advocate of having sunlight and openness and audits of the Fed. I think that they should be transparent. I think this idea that they act in secrecy is crazy. I don't think it makes any sense. I think it's bad for our our economy. I think it's bad for our political system. So I think every one of their deliberations should be on C-SPAN. Everybody should know how they're coming up with these decisions. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I like that.
What?
I like that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not have the Fed? Tell us. I think later today they're going to publish their minutes of their previous meeting. Why should it come out 6 and 8 weeks later? That just destabilizes the market. So,
and that's almost as offensive as a president demanding quantitative easing and manipulated interest rates. So I think we need to identify all the wrongs.
I don't listen to everything that the president says, so I don't know what he's talking about there. But I think that buying a lot of the toxic mortgages and stuff after the crisis hit, I thought was kind of a ripoff for taxpayers.
Stephen, you're a brave guy. You're facing a nice little fight here. There's majorities in a CNBC Fed survey saying the Senate should not confirm either you or Herman Cain, and many saying both are unqualified. I mean, this is a battle.
Look, I don't have. How do I respond to that? I mean, I am an iconoclast. I think most economists, especially the PhD economists, are simply wrong in the way they look at the world. This is why I've had such a successful career, because I'm one of the few people who actually understands how the world works. These academics who live in their ivory towers, they're so wrong on the economy so consistently. So I'm not. I've always said this is the reason that, Art Laffer, who's one of the great economists and one of my mentors, so I said, Steve, if all these economists understood the way the world works, then you and I wouldn't have a job. And he's right about that.
I mean, think we'll be better off.
The reason we add value is because we understand the way the world works, and most of these, academic economists don't know what they're talking about. Most academic economists are Keynesians.
And
the
we'll be better off.
idea ever is Keynesian economics, right?
With a Stephen Moore on the Fed, we'll be better off. I agree with that. And I think, and I have faith in you, I know you're going to go back to the Stephen Moore I love. So I'm going to tell you how to get confirmed. You put on the six-button double-breasted suit with Herman Cain. White shirt, white tie. You two walk in there.
Good advice, my friend.
You walk in there like a couple of gangsters and you own it, and you're going to get it. Okay? So you follow that advice.
Well, okay, great. And I will I appreciate the words of advice. And when I get on the Fed, this will be the first interview I do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen
you
Moore.
guys.
Good luck to you.
Week.
Thank you. Stephen Moore, who's going to be on the Fed. And what are we going to be doing? Talking to a Supreme Court nominee in the next 25 minutes?
And it's because of me he's coming back, not you. I don't even know what you were doing over there. Me.
What you gave him the easy question that he's betrayed his own ideals? I mean, that's Stephen Moore.
Listen,
that's Stephen Moore 101.
I love
really.
them. I'm not kidding you. You know what it's like to grow up and want to do well and buy their books and digest their information and believe in the philosophy because it has character and principle, and then to watch it break? It's disheartening, brother. So, but I do have faith in him.
He's not a big believer in tariffs. He doesn't know if that really works.
He's selling a pitch line. He called me Amy, for God's sakes. He was regurgitating talking points, which is a good thing.
Good job by you. I'm sorry, I didn't have anything to add to the interview.
Oh, you did great.
We both can't do well. It's a zero-sum game with you, Sean. That's the way you look at the economy of this radio interview.
You did great. You interrupted all three of us. You did great.
Look, I just didn't want him to filibuster. We only had a certain amount of time. And we appreciate him coming on and facing the questions.
A fan.
You pretend to understand all this economic stuff.
Yeah, pretend.
You're very, very good.
No.
And you've read his books. All right, Bruce Wolf and Sean Thompson in for Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Carl, I don't know about you, Amy.
Or I'm Sean.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.